back again so soon? Why, yes I am. And today's video is a comics review. This is the supply of comics that I would have reviewed back in August. Yes, August. That is how long I have been without a phone that could actually take more than a picture and go, I'm full of memory, right? Oh, it still gives me shivers and of rage down my spine thinking of that old phone when it got all fucked up and how long it took to get this phone. But that's the last I'll mention of it. Probably not, but let's go with that. Anyways, August comic stack was a smaller one. And the first one is actually one that I kind of just pulled off the shelf. It wasn't one of the ones that they pull for me that I always get, of the series I always get. But this one looked interesting. And so I thought, why not? It is called Star Wars, War of the Bounty Hunters, Forlom and Zuckuss. The story in this one is that Jango Fett has engaged, or no, what is it? No, it's Boba Fett, sorry. Somebody has placed, I don't know why Jango Fett's on the cover of it when it's Boba Fett. But anyways, Jabba has put a bounty on Boba Fett for some reason. And so Forlom and Zuckuss, a bounty hunting pair that you see in Empire Strikes Back, go after him. But Boba gets the drop on them and basically captures Forlom, who is a droid, and leaves Zuckuss injured on Nar Shaddaa, or Nar Shaddaa, or whatever the hell it's called, the smuggling world of huts and whatnot. And so this issue is kind of like Zuckuss kind of waking up and being like, what the hell, Forlom, where did you go? And he's all doubled over, and he meets up with some of his chums, and they kind of talk about back in the past when him and Forlom kind of first teamed up, and kind of it gives a bit of history on their origin story, I guess, Forlom and Zuckuss. And noises, I don't know. And eventually getting back to the current times, Zuckuss smells something in the air, and he can smell Forlom. So he goes running after him, and his friends follow him. And he goes down this back alley, and above him you see this big spider droid type thing hovering over him, and it's got Forlom's head. And the thing is like, kill Zuckuss, kill Zuckuss. So the two friends have to face off against each other with Forlom and now in this weird spider mode. And Zuckuss finds out who did this to him, a brother of a alien sentient that Zuckuss dealt with in the past and killed. And so this guy's trying to take his revenge on Zuckuss. And so Zuckuss offs this guy as well, destroys the controller that this alien was using to control Forlom, but it doesn't seem to do any difference. Forlom is still spouting, kill Zuckuss, but he runs off into the distance. And that's how the issue ends, with Zuckuss being like, Forlom. Next up, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles number 131. This one all takes place primarily with just the ghost or the spirit of Shredder with the four turtles. So the Rat King is got some sort of long game going on. We know that much. We don't know exactly what yet. And in order to defeat the Rat King, Oroku Saki, his spirit, says, I must teach you four turtles, as I promised your father Splinter. The way, what is it called? The Way of the Nine Cuts, which is like some sort of set of fabled moves that only the most enlightened ninjas can perform. And it's basically these series of hand gestures that taps into spirit energy or something like that, and grants them these powerful moves. So it's them going out into the forest with the spirit of Shredder and him teaching them all these moves. And the problem with the hard part about learning these moves is that when they're in the midst of learning them, it's almost like they go into this spirit world, and their worst nightmares kind of come at them as they're learning them. So they have to overcome these hurdles in order to learn the moves and master them and be able to add them to their arsenal. And it kind of ends as they have completed this training, and Leo and Shredder are having this talk about Dark Leo, which was part of his experience, and Shredder's like, you need to learn how to harness him, not be afraid of him, or be afraid of letting him loose or whatever. You need to be able to harness him, control him, and use him to your advantage. And the other sidebar is that Alapex does not agree with the turtles letting Orokusaki train them and be involved with their future, the future of the Splinter Clan. And so she takes off and says, if you guys are going ahead with this, I can no longer be a part of this. Next up, and these all seem to be single issues so far. Like I said, it was a pretty light month in August, but Transformers, Last Spot Standing, number 3. So in this one, it starts off with Shib. This is the one that takes place on that desert planet with these weird colonists, like it's a Western times almost. And Rodimus, Hot Rod, Rodimus Prime, whatever you want to call him, is kind of like dilapidated on this planet. They discover him, but these Decepticons show up and they want to harvest the humans for power, because Energon's like a thing of the past almost. So this issue starts off with kind of just some flashbacks to the history of Shib's family, who have passed down through the generations knowledge of the fact that Rodimus Prime is on planet and there is a robot here. And they were the ones that kind of kept the secret and protected him and kind of knew about his existence. So flashback to current times, and the Decepticons led by not Weird Wolf, who was it? Maybe it was Weird Wolf, something like that, is leading a harvest on the humans and taking them away to be turned into energy to keep these Decepticons running. And but Rodimus, even though he's been battered and bruised and knocked down, he's still trying to fight back against them. So Shib ends up, I can't remember if he was captured by that weird rabbit Decepticon, whatever the hell it is, and he was brought to the Decepticons as they were kind of talking to Rodimus and asking him, like, why do you respect these humans? Like, what's your deal with that? Like, they're fodder, they're drinks to us, they fuel us. And so this rabbit brings Shib back, and Shib's like, can't I just have a few last words with my buddy Rodimus? And so they let him, and then he takes, I think from around his neck, this object that he gives to Rodimus and injects into Rodimus, and it's actual old Energon. And like Rodimus is instantly like brand new and shiny and be like, let's go, motherfuckers, right? So he ends up just laying waste to a bunch of Decepticons, hunting them down, tracking them down, chasing them down, just dropping a boulder on one of them's heads. There's goo everywhere. Well, hydraulic fluid and whatever else is in Transformers. And so I think the issue ends with Rodimus eventually catching up to like the main group of Decepticons with like Weird Wolf or whoever it is that's leading them. Is it Weird Wolf? And they kind of come head to head at the end, and there's like, he says his last words to Rodimus before the issue ends is like, and there's something you've been hiding from us. So we're obviously going to be in for some sort of surprise in issue number 4, which, if I can't remember, might be the last one. But anyways, this was a really good issue, kind of to see Rodimus come back to life, and then a whole bunch of action and stuff like that. Yeah, it was my favorite one of the 3 so far in that series. So I'll have to revisit number 4 because I don't remember what ends up happening. It's been so long since I read it. We'll find out on my next comics video. Last up is a trio of G.I. Joe books. The first one was just kind of this compilation called The Best of Snake Eyes. It featured full reprints of 2 older G.I. Joe issues from like the original Marvel run in the 80s and early 90s. The first one is like an Arctic mission with like Alpine and Snow Job, I think it was, where they're I can't remember exactly what they're doing, but they're in the Arctic, and they end up meeting up with this, as they called him back then, an Eskimo, even though, is it Inuit now? I don't know. There's so many politically correct things, I don't even know what they are anymore. But back in the day, in the 80s, he was an Eskimo, and his name was Quinn, and they kind of observe him doing some weird stuff, and kind of eventually, as the shit hits the fan, oh yeah, I think it's the some sort of Russian silo that they're investigating, and Quinn gets involved with it. So situations come to a head with Quinn and with these Russians. And in the second issue, there's this chase through San Francisco where the Joes track down this shipment from this company. I can't remember its name, but they find these missile chips mixed in with all these video game chips. So they track that company to a place called Rio something. I think it's a made-up place. But it features into G.I. Joe stories back in the day quite a bit. Oh, where is it here? Rio. God damn it. Rio Lindo, that's it, Rio Lindo. So the action then, the Joes, including a team including Snake Eyes, go to Rio Lindo to kind of observe what's happening at this place they track this company to, and then eventually, of course, make a raid on it. And Quinn, the Eskimo, ends up getting involved in that storyline as well. And then the other two issues they reproduce in here are all newer ones from IDW. The first one is The Death of Snake Eyes Part 2, where Cobra invades the pit and Serpentor is involved in the attack. And the action gets so furious that Snake Eyes ends up actually dying. Which, I hate it when your heroes die, right? Oh, that's the worst. And then the last one is actually one that I talked about a while back in one of the G.I. Joe books I got at Dollarama. That was a compilation of a bunch of storylines. It's when the Joes go to some Northern Trucial Abysmia, where Snake Eyes and Scarlet and Stalker and who's the other one? Oh, Torpedo. They get dropped off in Northern Trucial Abysmia to meet up with these kind of rebels, because Dr. Mindbender is in the area with this facility doing some nefarious things, as he does, and they wanted to capture him. Or no, it's not Dr. Mindbender, or is it? I thought there was another guy. I thought it was some sort of weird scientist. Yeah, some sort of weird scientist. I can't remember his name, but he's doing some bad stuff, and they're trying to get to him. So it's just their story of meeting up with these rebels and finding their way to this scientist and taking him down. But like I said, it was in that compilation issue that I reviewed a while back. You could probably find it in my old videos, should you be interested. So next up, issue 295 of G.I. Joe. This picks up after the shit hits the fan at the Cobra Casino, and there's a couple teams of Joes within the casino trying to fight their way out. One of them is two of the ninja girls. I forget their names, but they've been taking on those Revanche, those kind of robots that look like waitresses at the casino, and they're having so much problems with them. The other team is Snake Eyes and Scarlet, and they're within the casino as well, trying to get to Dr. Mindbender and get him in their clutches. So the fighting goes on through that casino, and eventually, in the end, Scarlet and Snake Eyes catch up with Dr. Mindbender. And capture him, but as they're going through into the next room, they're met with like a team of Cobras, and they're like, where do you think you're going, right? So that's where that one kind of ends off. And of course the next one is issue 296, so it picks up right where the last one left off. And Dr. Mindbender's like, no, don't shoot at us, you'll ruin my life's work, because his DNA replica of Genghis Khan is in a tank in the next room, so that he doesn't want that to get destroyed. But the fighting breaks out anyways, so you've still got the two Ninja Joes trying to fight their way out. You've got Scarlet and Snake Eyes, and there's another one of the lady ninjas. I forget who it is, if it's Jinx. But you've got them trying to get out of this situation with Dr. Mindbender in their possession, while also trying to take his machine that changes the brainwave scanner, to try and fix Dawn's memories. She's got Snake Eyes memories in her head, and they want to try and fix her with that. So they're trying to get away with Dr. Mindbender and the brainwave scanner, but obviously they've met heavy resistance. They're having problems doing it. So the exfiltration team that's on the outside, the perimeter of the island, includes Rock and Roll, Gung Ho, and Roadblock. Like, talk about three classic Joes right there. So they hear what's going on, so they proceed to engage at the casino and get involved in the fray. So you've got them coming as well. While all this is going on, all of this news is relayed back to the pit, or wherever the headquarters is at this point, and Duke is like, everybody, we're going, let's go help them out, right? So the whole Joe team is en route to Cobra Island and to the casino to try and tidy things up there, so to speak. So right at the end of the issue, some stray bullets actually hit Genghis Khan's tank that he's been stored in, and it cracks open, and he's like, I'm free, ah! And that's kind of how the issue ends. So obviously he's going to join the fray in the next issue, and the action is only going to intensify from there. So like I said, August was a long time ago, and it was a light month for comics, but we'll find out what September brought, because it's going to be as much of a surprise to you as it is to me.